Now on CoastTV News.
Baltimore Ave upgrades. When Ocean City might widen sidewalks and move utility lines underground. Finally finished. The North Millsboro bypass is ready for traffic, but before cars can roll through, it's sneakers only. And city meeting safety, Dover officials are considering new security measures for monthly meetings, which details are still being ironed out.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
These utility poles in Ocean City may soon be removed. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Baltimore Avenue in downtown Ocean City may soon have underground utility poles and wider sidewalks. On Tuesday, the Ocean City Council plans to talk about the future of this project. And CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappe shows us what big changes could be coming.
Kevin Moore has lived near Baltimore Avenue for years and serves on the board of a 37-unit condo complex. He's excited to see the future changes along the street.
When this project came up a couple years ago, we were invited down to City Hall to see the drawings, and I approve of what they're going to do.
According to the Ocean City agenda, the Baltimore Avenue Improvement Project plans to move utility lines underground, widen both sidewalks by 5 feet, adding fire hydrants on the east side, and repaving the street from North Division to 15th Street.
Sidewalks were widened and the landscaping would be done. And I think the most important aspect is going to get rid of these ugly wires that run down, from 0 to 15th Street.
According to Ocean City manager Terry McGeehan, increasing the sidewalk by 5 feet will require the town to use land that is rightfully theirs. But some places may have to move some of their things.
If you go up to 7th Street, and you'll see there's a fairly new condominium there, and you'll see this huge landscape area in front. That's primarily unimproved right away. That's why all those buildings are set back so far. It's still a public right of way, although it may appear to be private property, it's not.
According to McGeehan, on Tuesday, the council will discuss giving the excess land not used for the project to the property owners.
We don't believe there's really any future use for that right of way, so let's allow the property owners to put it to good use.
According to McGeehan, the project is still in its early stages, but could begin as soon as October 2027. I'm Kevin Zappe in Ocean City, CoastTV News.
Now to Dagsboro. Tonight at the Dagsboro Town Council meeting, a drafted ordinance to modify the town's code was denied. The chapter revolved around the possession of certain animals. The animal in question you see here on your screen, ducks. One local man presented this draft in hopes of keeping the 5 ducks that he has at home for educational purposes for his children.
I just think that they may have been a little bit too harsh on the fact that we had them before coming and presenting this, which is disappointing, but it is what it is.
And Wolf says he now has to bring his ducks to a family member's farm in Georgetown. Now we're looking live outside onto the beach in Ocean City, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is going to join us with a check on that forecast. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Christina. And right now we've settled down into the 60s. Right now we're at 69 degrees, Rehoboth Beach. Winds are right now pushing primarily out of the east at 16 miles per hour. We're starting to see the winds really pick up momentum right now as we speak. Now we're under mainly clear skies for right now, despite the haziness that you see on the camera right now. That's more dealing with dirt and sand than cloud cover or anything like that. So we're at a very cool 53 degrees in Long Neck at this present time. It's 54 degrees not only in Redden, but also in Bridgeville, as well as Del Mar and in Gumboro, 55 in Willards. The winds are picking up momentum, although we're calm without the inland areas. It's right here along the beach communities where we're going to start seeing these winds are going to really pick momentum in a significant way. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to be talking about the forecast for these winds and then a bit of rain by midweek, Christina.
All right, thank you, Paul. Well, this Saturday, the public is invited to experience the new North Millsboro bypass in a fun way. Before it opens to drivers, DelDOT is hosting a charity 5K. You can run or you can walk, that's your choice, the almost 3-mile path that's highlighted on your screen right now. And proceeds will benefit the B+ Foundation that supports children with cancer. Now, after the 5K, the road will be open to bicyclists, and the North Millsboro bypass officially opens to traffic on September 22nd. Here's what it looked like today. The new alignment connects 113 and SR 24. DelDOT says it intends to relieve a traffic bottleneck in the downtown area. The new bypass even includes a separate multi-use trail. Well, when and where recreational marijuana can be sold in Sussex County is back up for debate, as regulations will be discussed at Tuesday's Sussex County Council meeting. The review comes after state-level pushback on the current rules, which opponents say are too restrictive. Senate Bill 75 attempted to undo Sussex County's ordinance, but that was recently vetoed by Delaware Governor Matt Meyer. Now, current regulations include the distance shops would have to be from churches or schools and changing the required zoning district.
I'm kind of opposed to it just because it's just something that leads to other things.
Anything, cigarettes, tobacco, this here, it's all possible revenue for the county or state.
County officials say the outcome of tomorrow's discussion will determine any next steps. One affordable housing project is getting closer to reality. Little Living looking to bring a neighborhood of cottage homes to Georgetown. The homes are a mix of one-story and two-story homes. They cost between $950 and $1,100 a month, with utilities. The project's president says they hope to have 22 of these homes off Route 9 in Georgetown, bringing some affordable housing to an area that he says needs it.
Our target are seniors, veterans, and people that are struggling. They're working, but they're working paycheck to paycheck because the rents are so high.
And Georgetown's council meeting is looking over the site plan for that cottage neighborhood. They're also expected to talk over some regulations for the site. Now we're going to Route 1 and Holland Glade Road. That's where DelDOT is about to start construction to build a new traffic light. DelDOT says work is expected to start later this year. The intersection right now only has a crosswalk. People CoastTV spoke with say they'll feel safer with a full traffic light up, and one Rehoboth local says he could say how this would help, but he also says some other areas could get congested because of it.
I appreciate another light to get the side streets moving, but I can't imagine what another light's going to be for Route 1, let alone people bailing and taking the back roads now because of it.
Again, DelDOT expecting to start work on this project later this week, and they say the work is expected to be completed by Thanksgiving. We'll go now to our CoastTV poll. We want to know what you think of this. What do you think about stoplights on Route 1? Looking at the updated results tonight, a mixed bag. 14% say too many, 7% say not enough, 58%, the most popular answer, say they're poorly timed, 22% think we need a new highway altogether. And we also have a comment tonight from Ronald in Lewis. He says even out of season, it takes way too long to get from Lewis to Rehoboth. He thinks another light will make it even slower. You can leave your own comment. Let us know what you think, and you can still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Former President Joe Biden is planning to build his presidential library here in the first state. According to the Associated Press, Biden has asked former aides, friends, and political allies to begin fundraising and searching for a new site. This reveal has Delawareans wondering where that site is going to be. Wilmington, where he lives, or maybe Rehoboth, where the Bidens have a beach house. We spoke to some Rehoboth locals to get their thoughts.
Well, it's a great idea to put his collection of writings and all the materials that are available in one place. I think it's great. I do think it should be perhaps up in the Wilmington area, where gives a greater number of people access to see the materials, to study all the good works he's done, and to review it. It's easier travel.
We shall see. The Joe and Jill Biden Foundation recently approved a 13-member board to get that project up and running. Well, metal wands and increased police presence may soon be coming to Dover City Council meetings. The newly formed Security Ad Hoc Committee met last week to discuss potential safety improvements after some concerns were raised. The committee is moving forward with a proposal for one Dover police officer equipped with a handheld metal detector at those bi-weekly meetings. Supporters say it could make things safer, but opponents are questioning its effectiveness. The measure would cost about $11,000 per year. City leaders say other options are still being considered, though.
We just ask that the public be patient with us while we figure out the details, and that they recognize that this is an inherent benefit for public safety.
And we're told more information on the proposal will be shared once the council and locals have met at City Hall. As President Donald Trump's administration continues to aggressively crack down on illegal immigration across the country, citizens from Los Angeles to Boston are pushing back by taking to the streets. And as Sherelle Hubbard reports, on Monday, the Supreme Court backed the president's push to allow roving ICE patrols in California to continue.
In Southern California, masked and armed immigration and customs enforcement agents will be allowed to continue what critics call roving patrols, stopping and interrogating people about their immigration status. Lower courts found that these patrols likely violated the Fourth Amendment, but the Supreme Court disagreed, likely clearing the way for similar practices elsewhere.
You can expect action in most sanctuary cities across the country.
After weeks of threats by President Trump, White House border czar Tom Homan says a move to send federal agents to Chicago is imminent. Over the weekend, thousands protested against ICE and for immigrants' rights in Illinois. And in neighboring Indiana, Hoosiers rallied against housing ICE detainees in their state.
We want to see that money used to address the housing crisis in our community, to address homelessness, to address the fact that people can't afford their rent.
In Boston, city leaders are saying no thanks to ICE.
Our cooperation with each other is why this is the safest city in the country, and I just completely reject this notion that somehow we need ICE or Secretary Homan or Tom Homan to come in and save us.
Critics of the immigration crackdown say federal agents should not be targeting people because of their race, how they speak, and the jobs they work.
What they've been doing in other cities, they've been targeting families, even young kids. American citizens have been deported.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And the Supreme Court did not provide any explanation of its decision to allow those so-called roving patrols to continue, but Justice Brett Kavanaugh, a member of the conservative wing who sided with Trump, he wrote in a concurrence that while ethnicity alone cannot furnish reasonable suspicion regarding immigration stops, it can be a, quote, relevant factor when considered along with other factors. And we are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. It looks like Delmarva is on a lucky streak. Two locals won big in the Maryland lottery this weekend. We'll tell you where they bought those winning tickets. But first, an $83 million verdict against Donald Trump upheld what the appeals court said about the defamation case involving Jean Carroll and why the payout still stands.
And where we are right now, we're looking for windy conditions on Tuesday, wet conditions on Wednesday, and then warming up on Thursday. We'll have your complete forecast coming up. So we have about three things to keep in mind. First of all, very windy on Tuesday, wet on Wednesday, and then warming up on Thursday. That's kind of how it works out. I didn't pre-write that alliteration, but it works out that way. In Laurel, we're at 54 very cool degrees. The winds right now pushing out of the north, staying calm. So we have a bit of radiational cooling that's happening right now. Clear skies, light winds, everything sets up perfectly for us to really become very chill for the rest of the night. We're going to stay in the mid to lower 50s actually. Now, we're in the 50s now throughout a good portion of the inland areas, with the exception being the beach communities. I mean, we're at 70 degrees right now in Lewis, 69 Rehoboth, 68 Bethany Beach, but 55 in Millsboro, 54 Laurel, Del Mar, Willard, and Gumboro. Well, live radar, we're totally clear, not a problem. But let's talk about a couple of things that, just a little bit on our radar so the spidey senses are tingling as far as this is concerned. There's a rip current statement that's in effect for the Lewis, Rehoboth Beach, those areas. Rip currents are becoming a primary concern again, right off the beaches. South Bethany down to Fenwick Island, also that concern. Then we have what's called a beach hazard statement. Now, that's pretty much the same thing, with the possibility of some beach erosion to occur for the folks at Ocean City, West Ocean City, all the way down towards Chincoteague. And then this entire area right here is indicative of a small craft advisory until 6 o'clock Wednesday. And that means that we're bracing for 25, possibly 30 mile per hour wind gusts consistently until we get to Wednesday. Overnight, we will stay clear. Winds out of the northeast. Winds right now, relatively calm inland, but becoming more active for the beach. So you got to everything's kind of like, It's kind of like buying land, location, 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 okay? So the location for Tuesday evening, we're looking at 36 to 33 mile per hour winds for the beaches, 23 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts coming out of the northeast for the inland areas. So it's going to be breezy no matter where you are, but very much so for the beaches. We're looking at winds out of the northeast between 22 to 31 mile per hour wind gusts. That's pretty active. Now for Wednesday, the concern is the rain. Spotty showers flare up at mid-morning for Dewey Beach, Long Neck, and for Del Mar. Then we have another pocket of rain for Fenwick Island around right after lunchtime by 3:30 up towards Milton. You see how random that is? That's the true definition of scattered showers. You see, we have a low pressure system that won't be directly affecting us, but it'll be in the vicinity, okay? Giving us drizzle of showers, actually. And so this is that edge of it right here. You see that flow that's going counterclockwise? So that's where that's all coming from. Even with that being the case, we're looking for breezy conditions on Tuesday, wet conditions on Wednesday. Same holds true for us for Fenwick Island and Ocean City with temperatures in the lower 70s. So keep that in mind. Before we get to the extended forecast, remember we have the Walk for Prostate Cancer Saturday, Cape Henlopen State Park. Free blood screenings will be available for you. Just show up at the park. Registration is at 8 o'clock, or you can go online and get that too. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Remember, you need that umbrella on Wednesday.
All right, thank you again, Paul. Well, new today, the House Oversight Committee says it now has documents from the Jeffrey Epstein estate, including a letter President Donald Trump allegedly signed for Epstein's birthday back in 2003. And pressure is mounting on Capitol Hill as Epstein's accusers were in Washington this week, calling on both Trump and Congress to release all files tied to the case. Take a listen to what Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman had to say.
I don't think the Epstein thing is the big thing. I don't know. Release it. I don't know. Fair. It's this idea that suddenly that's going to be the one thing that's going to, take out Trump. I don't believe that what that is. He'll still be here. I don't think it's just a distraction, honestly. But go ahead and release whatever that is. But it's not, I think, that important.
Now, lawmakers are close to forcing a House vote by the end of the month, but the Senate remains a question mark. The $83 million verdict against Trump for defaming Jean Carroll was upheld by a federal appeals court. Carroll took legal action against Trump, claiming he defamed her when he denied her sexual assault allegation against him. According to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, the high-dollar decision was reasonable due to the evidence that was presented in court. According to Trump, the magazine writer made up the story in order to help boost book sales. Coming up, a new study tonight showing record numbers of home sales falling through. What's behind the growing anxiety for home buyers? That's here after the break.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Tidal Health is hosting drive-through flu shot clinics this season, one of which will be at Purdue Stadium in Salisbury. Anyone ages 8 and up are welcome Friday, September 26th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The clinics are free, and anyone under the age of 18 must bring a guardian to sign consent. But high-dose senior flu shots will not be offered. A new study suggesting climate change is having an unusual effect. A 15-year study tracked what American families bought and compared it to the weather. And it showed as temperatures rose, researchers say they saw more people reaching for sugary things like soda, juice, and ice cream. They're warning that global warming could push daily sugar intake up by nearly 3 grams, increasing risks of health problems like heart disease, diabetes, and more. Also in health news tonight, new questions over a popular pain reliever and whether it's okay for pregnant women to take it. NBC's George Solis has the story.
Jamie Slocum is a new mom navigating life with a 3-month-old. Tonight recalling her struggles with migraines during her pregnancy.
You were taking acetaminophen because you had discussed it with your doctor.
Yes, and I had discussed with her extensively what I could take.
But a new Health and Human Services report expected to be released this month potentially links autism to pregnant women's use of acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, as first reported by the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the matter. In a statement, Kenvue, the maker of Tylenol, saying they have continuously evaluated the science and continue to believe there is no causal link between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and autism.
It's really hard to hear so much conflicting guidance, especially when, it's a lot of it feels like fear-mongering.
The science on the potential association between acetaminophen and autism is mixed.
There is no data that shows Tylenol causes autism.
An HHS spokesperson would neither confirm or deny the story, telling NBC News the upcoming report will use gold standard science. Doctors say pregnant women looking for alternatives to acetaminophen should first consult with their providers.
We do prescribe aspirin at times, not necessarily for pain relief, but because we know it prevents preeclampsia in pregnancy. And so really first-line medication for pain relief is Tylenol.
Jamie Slocum says until her doctor says otherwise, she'll continue taking acetaminophen for future pregnancies.
I think that it's a very stressful time, and the best thing that I can do for myself is talk to my doctor who I trust.
Coming up in sports tonight, DSN has highlights from a cross-conference battle. It's Cape Henlopen and Delmarva Christian battling it out in volleyball. New studies are showing there's actually some home buying anxiety nationwide. A recent report showing home purchases are being canceled at a record rate. Reporter Michael Yoshida shows us what's causing buyers to back out of the deal.
Roughly 58,000 U.S. home purchase agreements were canceled in July, according to a Redfin analysis of pending sales data.
Part of that has to do with volatility in interest rates and home buyers just getting cold feet about how much they're paying.
Redfin's Daryl Fairweather says one of those sticker shocks for would-be buyers, rising insurance costs.
You often don't know how much you're going to be paying in insurance until after your offer is accepted. So that can be a bit of a shock if you get this big insurance payment, or maybe you can't find insurance at all. That can definitely cause a deal to fall through.
Another thing that could be at play, the balance of power in the housing market shifting towards buyers. With more homes to choose from compared to just a few years ago, people looking for a new house may not feel in a rush. And if during the inspection period they discover an issue they don't want to fix, or if a better home comes up for sale, then they could feel more comfortable backing out of the deal.
This is not good news for sellers, because if a deal falls through and they have to put the home back on the market, it's kind of like a scarlet letter, because future buyers think that there might be something potentially wrong with the home.
Fairweather says a shaky jobs market and economy is also causing some to hold off on a new long-term financial commitment, choosing to stay in their current house or even move to a rental until there's more economic certainty and stability. In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
And since 2020, America's housing market has surged 57%, hitting a record $55 trillion. That's up $20 trillion in just 5 years. Zillow says home values are still climbing, even as high mortgage rates push buyers to the sidelines and force some sellers to cut prices. But the growth hasn't been equal. In the past year, New York added the most, gaining $216 billion in value, and New Jersey, Illinois, Pennsylvania not far behind. While it may not have been that billion-dollar jackpot, there were some big lottery winners on Delmarva this past week. One Salisbury player won $50,000 in a lightning cash ticket they bought at Royal Farms, and one lottery player in Berlin found themselves with a $12,000 ticket from Shore Shop.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Good evening, sports fans. We are in full swing this fall season, and it's Monday, which means it's time for volleyball action. A cross-conference battle in Lewis, Delaware, and DSN's Ian Nicholas and Patrick Cassett have more.
Thanks so much for joining us courtside from Cape. Ian Nicholas alongside Pat Cassett after the Vikings pick up a dominant season-opening victory against Delmarva Christian in straight sets. Delmarva Christian showed some spunk as a young group with a new head coach, and there's a kill from Catherine Jones and company. Just got to string a little bit more of that consistently throughout the course of a whole game. Pat.
Yeah, it was set number one. The first couple points went back and forth, and then all of a sudden it felt like it was hyperdrive, and Cape Henlopen just turned it to a different level, and they were just picking up points left and right in set number one, and then cruised to a big victory in set one that put themselves up in a really good spot in set two.
Yeah, 25-12 was the score of that first set for Cape, 25-10 in the second. Harper Momley, one more time, got to run through her dominance today.
Yeah, I mean, you pick up double-digit kills, you're doing something right. You add a couple of aces, too, to that. What a perfect game to start the year for her.
Yeah, straight set sweep. Doesn't get much more efficient than that for the Vikings, who improved to 1-0. Meanwhile, Delmarva Christian drops to 0-1. For Pat Cassett and Ian Nicholas, we sign off for now. Straight set sweep for Cape Henlopen in volleyball.
Thank you both so much. That'll for sports. Have a great night, everybody.
Coast TV is getting some national spotlight tonight on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Our Coast TV mug, the one you see here on your screen, is going to be sitting on Seth's desk tonight. You can catch the show after the Tonight Show, and tonight's guests include James Corden and Ashley Simpson.
Well, there you go. All right, so in Milford, we're at 55. We're going to stay in the 50s. Actually, our day part forecast, listen, for the morning time, we start off in the 50s. We'll go to about 62 pretty quickly by mid-morning. And then we will peak at about lower 70s, but the winds are going to pick momentum as well. So it's going to be a really bit of a cutting wind, particularly coming out of the northeast. Keep that in mind. Now, you can keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And then finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're expecting 74 and windy conditions on Tuesday, and then rainy conditions on Wednesday, warming up on Thursday and Friday, and clear sailing and beautiful weather for the Walk for Prostate Cancer on Saturday at Cape Henlopen State Park.
All right, I'll see you there. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more news, more weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.